and be great, wild ones. It's Bernadette. I am here with your Pick a Card Tarot reading for Sunday, December 13th, 2020. Oh, the chakra is the crown chakra. The ruling planet is here comes the sun. Doo doo doo. And here comes the sun. I say, wow. That's what I say. The king of wands. It's the tiger. Yes, we love this card because listen, who doesn't love a tiger, right? But there's so much crazy synergy and synchronicity and just compatibility between tigers and the king of wands. So let's dig right into it. I know Sundays, they're supposed to be like maybe a little bit of a contemplative day and just to lay back and commune with our universe and our guides and do artistic things and family things. Okay, cats are really great at that. So if you just want to, meow around and nap around like a kitty cat, that's awesome. But never mistake, cats are always thinking, usually about how they can talk you out of more treats or jump on your face in the middle of the night because they've decided that they want something. Or maybe how they're going to eat you if you should happen to die in your house and nobody knows and they're the only ones left. So, and I bring that up because that's what my friends always say about me. They're going to be like, Bernadette, you're going to be dead for 5 days. Somebody's going to come eventually to find you, and your cats are going to be the fattest they've ever been in their life. And we laugh about that. But I have one cat that I really believe that about. But anyway, okay. So first things first. I'm wearing another one of my Zodiac astrology shirts. I'm gearing up energetically for the Zodiac series that's coming. I'm so excited about it. Now, let it be said, I'm not an astrologer, though I would like to be. That's just a little too much study for me, man. Those people they think in places my little pea brain can't go. But I have made a study my whole life of the Zodiac signs because, again, it has to do with why people do what they do, why they are the way they are, very much like Myers-Briggs testing. It has to do with human performance. And listen, who doesn't love looking into the Zodiac signs? And when I discovered there were like a gajillion different kinds of Zodiac signs, I was like, oh, man. So we're going to be talking about all of those in the coming months. That said, Tiger is one of the Chinese Zodiac signs. And there's such a beautiful story behind how Tiger became one of the 12 Chinese Zodiac signs. We'll get to it in that series, but let's first take a look at the King of Wands and what he's all about, and then how Tiger as a spirit totem and power animal plays into that. What these messages are for you today. So for those of you just joining us, and thank you to everyone who subscribes, I read from my own award-winning, history-making, and now best-selling Arc Animal Tarot and Oracle deck, which does use the foundation of the Rider-Waite symbolism and meaning, their tarot card symbolism and meanings. And it marries it with all of the myth, the legend, the lore, the spirit animal meanings, what each of the animals mean. And it's just this really robust, surprisingly uncomplicated system for reading with the tarot and reading with your intuition and tapping into your shamanic, side, all of that. So, consider picking it up. I can still get them out to you before Christmas. And when we take a look at the King of Wands on this Sunday, wands can either be fire or air. It just really depends on who you ask. Now, obviously, Tiger is a fire animal, even though it does live on the earth. I tend to read when I see big cats, in particular Tiger. Black Panthers mean one thing, and snow leopards mean another thing, and they all mean something a little bit different. But big cat energy, again, especially Tiger, because of the orange color. Because they are the apex predator. There are only two other land animals that are bigger than they are, meaning within their what they're defined as, and that's bear and polar bear. But a full-grown Sumatran tiger can weigh 800 pounds. That's a lot of heft, right? So when you take a look at the King of Wands, he is really powerful and wise, like really powerful and wise, and can sometimes be thought of as a little bit ruthless. And I understand that. I mean, you'll notice that I don't ever talk about, the hunting skills so much of any animal because I dream of a day we live in a world where one living thing doesn't have to consume another living thing. And that even boils down to plants for me, you guys, where one living thing doesn't have to consume another living thing to sustain its life. I dream of that world, and I know that it exists, and I'm going there. When I'm done with this place, I'm going there. Come with me. I'll have cookies. So as an apex predator and as a king, sometimes you're going to have to make decisions that you know, you might be comfortable making, you might not be comfortable making, but when you make those decisions based from a place of loyalty and having a noble spirit, like a true leader, a good king would do, then you can always trust that you are making the decision that's right for the collective, because you would not expect anybody to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. You wouldn't ask anyone to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. And you're more than capable and more than ready of taking on the leadership role of a king, right? The only catch and that's awesome. The only catch is that that can be a little bit of a dangerous territory, because King of Wands asks you to look at who's in your circle and take a look at the stripes that they're wearing, because every tiger, their stripes are never the same. Their stripes are just like human fingerprints. No two are the same. And, tiger, those phrases, a tiger can change their stripes, dogs can change their spots, and that's true. That is true. But with tigers, those stripes are actually in their skin. They're not just on their fur. So realize whoever you are that's in your circle, realize their stripes, who they are, and what they're about, good, bad, or indifferent. The odds of that changing are going to be very slim. And so as the leader of your own life, right, because we can talk about being a leader of a community, being a leader of this, being a leader of that, but really at the end of the day, the leadership role that you have that's most important is the one that's for your own life. So when you take a look at the people around you, how much are you trusting those stripes? And I'll leave it at that. Then again, it could be a call for you to look in the mirror and see, okay, how much nobility have I been living in lately, right? How much am I able to rise above and see things for what they really are, because I may be more mature in a lot of ways than whatever else you're considering, based on my past experience. Not because, hey, I'm more mature, but because your experience gives you a different viewpoint than, you're able to see in the darkness like a cat would. They're nocturnal animals. They got really great nighttime vision. And one of the things that I talk about a lot with tigers is that the white in the back of their ears, that I don't think it's been proven yet, but it's largely thought that they are acting like, when a tiger hunts at night, they're acting as eyes literally in the back of their head to ward off predators, because the predators will look at that and think, oh, those are eyes, and oh, I hear a tiger, or I smell a tiger, I'm out, right? So tigers also, and the King of Wands, because all kings, I mean, listen, like, please, Greek tragedies, right? What king didn't get stabbed in the back, for God's sake? So, don't get stabbed in the back. Be the tiger, be the leader, be the King of Wands, and always be looking out behind you in your inner circle. And not, I'm not trying to tell you to be neurotic, okay? And I'm not trying to tell you you've got somebody, coming up behind you like an unsub from Criminal Minds. What I'm saying is, it's wise to always keep your sensibilities about you. All right. Taking a look at the traditional meanings of the Rider-Waite, this particular card, the King of Wands, its tarot card meanings. This king does not have any patience for slackers, which is what makes his inner circle so tough. Meaning, listen, by the time you get to a certain place in your abilities or your accomplishments, there will be a faction of people around you that are just the naysayers. They're just, because their little green heads are like, they come up like the Kraken because they are jealous. Okay, well, they could achieve the same thing, I guess, maybe. They're willing to put their mind to it. They're willing to roll up their shirts and, their sleeves and get to work. Or maybe they can't hold a candle to you in these ways. And they've got the jealousy thing going on, right? Kings, anybody in a really high position or that's really achieved a modicum of success is always going to contend with that. Somewhere, some way, somebody's little green monster is going to come out and take a nip at you. You're being asked to call for that today, but you don't care. you don't. It's not that you don't have compassion for the weak. You have compassion for those that are weak of spirit. What that means is this: I've had to add, this is very personal. I'm just going to share it with you. I'm just going to put it out there. I was looking back through my videos the other day and I thought, goodness, the amount of times I said I can't remember. I was like, oh, you know what? I have been contending with that in my life. I've been on meds since last year when I almost died. Prednisone. My God, I've been on prednisone. I've had enough of it. And the prednisone causes a lack of sleep. And so between the lack of sleep and the prednisone, I've been having some memory problems. And it's really frustrating for me because my mind was always like a steel trap, man. I was almost like somebody who never forgot something that they heard or saw. An eidetic memory, Spencer on Criminal Minds, not nearly as smart, but in the memory department, I almost never forgot anything. So it's been challenging, and I don't really much care for it. But where I'm going with that is that you're going to have things that other people exhibit, behaviors that they exhibit. There's one thing in understanding that somebody has been through something that has made them some kind of way. And that can be said about anything, any way that anybody acts, reacts, does, doesn't do, that it's their accumulated circumstances or accumulated things that have happened to them. However, I subscribe to that, I get it, but I also say we have choices. And some people are just born into this life with they need everybody to do everything for them. Like victims, they just came in as victims and they are very comfortable in that place. They feel very safe. They feel they feel very validated. I don't get it. The reason I'm belaboring this point is it's easy. It's very easy. I could just sit here and tell y'all what the cards mean. You could determine it for yourself. But this is a reading. And so something is telling me there's something going on in the majority of the collective, and maybe even for you inside of yourself. Are you being weak? Meaning, is there an organic reason for it? Which, yes, at the end of the day, there's an organic reason for everything. But are you just laying down in the middle of the road and going, I can't? And we all have those times. But you're going to have to get up out of the middle of the road, or something's going to run over you. You don't want that. You don't want to go from bad to worse. So pick yourself up. Call out that tiger energy that's inside of you and bring in that orange, fiery sacral chakra energy that's inside of you and get your roar on, right? Get your roar on. Tigers can be heard 2 miles away, y'all. Their roars, their chuffs, their grunts, they can be heard 2 miles away. That's a long way. Do you know what kind of sound that is? I don't remember. Here I go again. I don't remember which video it was in. Probably the tiger video, maybe. But I was just talking about tigers, and I was like, if you've never been standing next, it was lion. If you've never been next to a lion, when they roar, the ground shakes, the earth shakes, and everything around does this. It genuflects. How's my hair looking on the top of my head? Probably still a little thin. Anyway, tigers are the same thing. When they roar, it's something that will blow you back like somebody has wonked you in the chest. I love it. It's cool. I get out to Mystic Jungle every time I can and hear those tigers roar and the lions out there too, right? It's just the most amazing. Nothing will light you up like that. So get up, get moving, pick yourself up, stop being weak, because the King of Wands does not tolerate that. There's no reason for it. Feel sorry for yourself for a minute or two, have a cookie, and move along. All right. So then take a look at the throne, and you see the throne is decorated with lions and salamanders. This is a royal status thing, but it's a strength thing also. Salamanders represent the element of fire, and you'll find that you'll find them on the yellow cloak. Then, if you look a little closer, you'll see that they're biting their tails, forming a complete circle. This is representing past achievements. And in fact, they're the Knight of Wands, or the Knight of Wands. They're the complement. How do I put this? If we go back to the Knight of Wands, okay, we see that that's about completed quests, and or the start of a quest. The king, once you get there, is the completed quest. So understand that whatever I don't know, you guys, it just keeps pinging in my psychic mind. Whatever you guys are being called to do, the King of Wands is calling you to complete the quest and giving you the power and the strength to do it, just like the tiger is behind you. So it's like you're going to check everything off your bucket list and you're going to get it accomplished if you will not be weak about it, if you'll have a nobility about it, a nobility of purpose, almost like a moral compass. You take a look at the king's red robes and the green collar, that symbolizes his passion, his vitality. And of course, the yellow wands, that's about the restless intellect. So you might have a lot going on inside of there, which would be very interesting. It would certainly dovetail to yesterday's reading, which was the Seven of Cups, which that is the card of illusory success. You've got all of these options and all of these great dreams, and but which is real and which is not. And what I always boil that down to is which will you really go the distance on and which will you not? Which is better left a fantasy rather than getting in the middle of something, having it overwhelm you, and you have to quit, or you make the decision to not go forward, or it just flat out beats you. Like you fail, because it happens. We fail. Now, having said that, let me say this. Tigers, and I think it extends to most big cats, but tigers will hunt and only catch their prey 1 out of every 12 times, which means they've failed 11 times and they've won 1 time. There's a basketball player that says that. There's some great quote he's got about how many hoops he hasn't made, but then he makes that one. So he predicates his success, or something very much like this. He predicates his success on all his failures. So I don't really ever count anything as a failure, except for one thing, not trying. That's a failure. Fail, epic fail, right there. Not trying, that is failure. So, having said that, when the King of Wands shows up for you upright in a tarot card reading, it is a blessing and it's a curse. It's pure heat, it's pure energy, it's greatness, it's swiftness, it's prowess, it's just uncanny foresight, it's great instincts, that you've got these finely tuned things, and this king has gone from one stellar success to the next, right? But again, he's got a tendency to ignore his past failures. If you look at him, he's looking toward his accomplishments. Nowhere in the card do we see that he has considered his failures. And sometimes that can give you a little bit of, I don't know, that can just give you a little bit of illusion, like yesterday's card, when you want to move ahead. You're seeing things only through a certain set of eyes, a certain set of data. And that's never going to go in your favor, ever, ever, ever. So just don't stop looking for adventure. Don't stop looking to move forward. Don't stop looking. In fact, actually do those things. Move forward. Get the things you want. Have that fiery passion. The zodiac signs that are associated with this card is Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, the go, 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 go cards. And the healing crystal that can be associated, that's a whole other conversation for another time, which healing crystals are associated with what. But I tend to think that carnelian is very associated with this because of the fire in it, right? So just do it. Find whatever parts of yourself, the weak parts that are prohibiting you from moving forward, and just do what it is that you want to do. Channel in the king energy, the leadership energy. Now, when you take a look at tiger as a spirit totem and power animal, we've talked a lot about it already, but something that's so interesting to me is in the Chinese culture, for the Chinese, tiger is so much about leadership and authority, and tiger guards against evil, attracts good fortune, and so they really associate tiger with having supernatural gifts. And they show their respect by calling tiger the master or the gentleman, but never just tiger. And we could talk about white tigers. That's a whole genetic mutation. The legend and lore. I'll do a video just about white tigers, because my gosh, the legend and lore behind them. Their blue eyes, because it's not an albino thing. It's not really so much an inbred thing. It's a genetic mutation, and that bears going into. Because when we start talking about that kind of thing, one of the things that those kind of animals show me for somebody that I'm reading for is that they're going through a transformation that is truly so transformative. A metamorphosis that is true, a true metamorphosis, it's coding in their DNA in such a strong way. And that will stay with them always. It will stay with their energetic pattern always. Now, I put that stuff out there like I have any kind of proof whatsoever, any scientific proof. I don't. That is a belief. And it's a belief based on lots of data of reading thousands and tens of thousands of people at this point and listening to the stories and watching the patterns and putting pieces together from mystics and metaphysical teachers all around the world. And when all of these cultures start to say all the same things, but in their own way, well, I pay attention to it. Maybe some people don't, but I pay attention to it. So tigers are more than brawn. They're more than strength. They're more than prowess. The Tibetans think that tigers hold the key to immortality. And if we could just understand where they house that, we could have some of that, which is, again, this card always reminds me, especially when it's tied into the King of Wands. When you're a person that's a natural leader or you're in a position of leadership, people will glom onto you and they'll want to pull themselves up by you. And eventually what happens is if you allow people to do that, they pull you backwards and down. Kind of like if y'all ever watched The Walking Dead, when Carl and I don't remember who, I think it was his dad, Carl and his dad were on top of the car, and all of a sudden you saw these hands reaching up, and I don't remember who it was, y'all. It was so long ago. Pulled them back down into the zombies, and then it was the cliffhanger for the season, and you weren't sure. Rick and Carl, I believe it was, and you weren't sure, and you were like, they did not kill off Rick, kill off Carl, but I did not kill off Rick, and that was just a big buzz until the season came back. It's that same kind of way. Don't let the glommer's honors pull you down. And that may be the only thing you need to hear for today, because you may be giving out so much and be leading in such an earnest, just from your heart, want to see everybody succeed and everybody do well. Not everybody is going to succeed and not everybody is going to do well. And you can do what you can to help that, but that's just got to start for you. That's got to start from you. I always tell people you cannot save a person dying from dehydration if your own well is dry. If you scoop a scoop into that well and it's dry, you're not going to help them, and you certainly are not going to be able to help yourself. We hear that a lot. Especially my energy healers, they will tell me that the number, like the first and the second thing, are people that are givers. I have and people that are healers, which are givers. And then also in the romance department, they say nothing will fracture an energetic field like a broken heart. Nothing will fracture, or not really fracture, but bruise and deplete and just almost make it disappear an energetic field like people who give too much. And in fact, I have a person that I'm acquainted with, and she's here at the University of Florida, and she does a lot of teaching and a lot of research. She's an RN. And she is, at the time, the last time I talked to her, which was probably 6 or 7 years ago, she was heavily involved in research that was going to be able to prove that nurses, whether an LPN or an RN, that nurses have a higher incidence of breast cancer than any other profession. Now, would she have been able to prove that was because they give so much and give so much and give so much through their heart chakra, which she thinks creates like this genetic or chemical or cellular imbalance. I can't. Do I believe it? Yes, I do. My grandmother was an RN. She was the head RN at Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami for umpteen years. And she died of breast cancer. And, I can equate so many people that I know personally on a deep level with the maladies that they have, the illnesses, the diseases that they have that actually ultimately, was what took their life. And I can equate it with their chosen profession. It's a pretty fascinating kind of study when you do it. But the point is that kings know boundaries. They set boundaries, and they can seem very ruthless when they set those boundaries. And boundaries are hard, y'all. They're hard. They really are. But you got to do them. You got to do them. And even if it takes you from now till kingdom come, at least if you're working on it, you're working on it, right? And you'll have those small victories. All of that said, this is a really big explosive kind of energy to come out on a Sunday. It's not traditionally that kind of day. But what if it is that kind of day? What if today is that day where you've got to, there's something so important for you, you've got to take this in through your crown chakra and let it integrate into the rest of the chakras and into your body and your emotions. Because again, I'm telling you, we've been in a stasis, right, for 2020 mostly. And a lot of it has been wrapped up in fear. I wish y'all didn't feel that way. It never had to be that way. You never had to live in fear. But you don't, next year you won't have to do that, and you'll see that. And next year will be the year that you'll want to move forward, and you'll want to, pounce like a tiger, and, great. You'll want to do that. And it will be inside of you to do. The question is, will you make the tougher decisions when you need to make the tougher decisions? And that is what the King of Wands and the Tiger asks you. And it doesn't have to be all serious like that. It doesn't have to be something that lays you out for days. It just has to be, well, it has to be done. I mean, I've owned my own business for, today it seems like 8,000 and a half years. But as a business owner, I've had to hire and fire. As a business owner, I've had to go, well, Bernadette, you dang big bonehead, that cost you X, Y, and Z. Don't do that again. And I've had to look at other people and go, what would possess you to do that? You don't do that in my business. And in my earlier days, it would eat at me and gnaw at me. And there were days that I took a little bit of pleasure in being the hatchet man, because it irked me. Those people irked me. When I came to understand, the people that messed up, the people that were weak, I allowed myself to get angry. And then when I started learning the tarot, and I came upon the King of Wands, I went, that's me. Wow. And I started looking at all the symbolism behind it. I don't get pleasure out of that stuff anymore, but I don't fear it. I just don't anything it. It's just something that has to be done in the name of business. And I cross my T's and I dot my I's before I move forward. And that is what the King of Wands is asking you to do. That's what the Tiger is asking you to do. Tigers sit and wait for forever until they're ready to pounce. And they still only get it. They still only eat 1 in 12 times. Right? Now, what they take down, they can eat on for 4 days or 5 days and then not hunt again for a while. Maybe that's it. Maybe this is what you're hunting or what you're going for. Maybe it's so big that it'll sate you for a while or satisfy you for a while. And, in the animal kingdom, I don't believe that the animals who eat other animals have any kind of remorse about it. But I don't know that to be true. I don't know that to be true. I've had a real struggle since I was sick last year. I'm a vegetarian, and I was just about vegan, man. I was just about there. And I fight anemia every day. And I'm a vegetarian who every now and again has to have a little bit of steak or a hamburger. And I can't tell you what it does to me emotionally. I can't tell you. And yet I do it because everything else I've tried ain't cutting it. It's just not cutting it. It's really the shame of my life. I can't stand doing it. It makes me crazy. And I've talked to other people who are enjoined with me. They've got health issues and these are people, I know nutritionists, like high level nutritionists that are like, yeah, nothing does it like, a steak or a burger, nothing. And, so I don't know that there aren't animals out there that do feel badly and do have remorse and maybe wish there was another way in their own tiger mind or their own this mind. And that may seem as foolish to y'all as foolish can be, but I dream of a world. I dream of a world where things don't have to consume other things to sustain life. It exists. I know it's there. I hope you take a few minutes today to consider that. And maybe if enough of us believe that, which I think probably already do, we just create that world, because a thought is a thing. It becomes a real living thing. And then we just find our way to there. Y'all will get on the love boat with me and we'll sail off into the sunset and we'll sing and we'll dance and take our casks of wine and, rum runners and whatever else with us, and we'll just have a grand old time, right? Okay. So I know that was a little bit heavy duty for today. It doesn't have to be, because the flip side of this is you can just get to a place where you are so confident and you are so loyal to the people that you're serving, including yourself, and you make such noble decisions that you don't have to lay awake at night or worry. You don't have to have that feeling deep in your gut like, oh, you can make the decision and you can stand tall and strong in that decision, knowing that it might be harsh for some, but for the collective, including yourself, that it's the best decision and you are a part of doing that. And let me tell you something, as many people that will glom onto you, wanting you to pull them up with your accomplishments, there will be also an equal faction of people that never ever want to shoulder the kind of responsibility and leadership that you contend with. It is it, and yet they do if they take leadership and responsibility for their own life. If you ask me, that's just as hard as running a kingdom, maybe even harder. I mean, it's a lot easier to see things in other people than it is in ourselves, so we think, right? But that's a lot for you to chew on. Um, Thank you for spending part of your Sunday with me, and thank you for spending part of your everyday with me and the Animal Allies. I hope it's valuable time and you love it and you learn and you grow and it gives you the support and the healing and the everything that you need. And so it's getting close to Christmas, and you'll pick up your copy of the Arc Animal Tarot and Oracle deck, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and even through all of your contemplative thinking, stay wild.